You know how some cruise headlines make you raise an eyebrow? Well, this week is full of those stories. From loyalty perks going poof to a Mexican tax causing wallet whiplash, private islands charging pool noodle premiums, and a Disney Overboard rescue that sparked a tidal wave of speculation. We've got it all. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. So let's dive right into what might be Carnival's most controversial move this year. The cruise line just announced that its VIFP loyalty program is no longer based on how many nights you sail. Instead, those of us that have worked hard to earn platinum and diamond and gold status, we're basically going to be wiped out when the new loyalty program takes place 2 years after June 2026. So basically we have 3 years to enjoy the status that we've earned. From now on, it's gonna be pay to play. It's all about how much money you spend on board. So that means if you're like me and you spent a lot of years racking up nights to earn platinum or diamond status, your dedication might suddenly count for less, actually nothing, compared to someone who comes in and drops big bucks. So with the way the new plan works, theoretically, someone could come in, book a very expensive suite, spend a lot of money on board, and earn platinum or diamond status almost immediately. So yes, it is pay to play. It's no longer about loyalty. It is now in effect a rewards program. And yes, loyal cruisers, yours included, are livid. A lot of people online are really mad about this. I've made some content about it, and this is enduring. This has been a couple weeks now since Carnival made this boneheaded move and announced it, and nothing is dying down. People are still really, really mad about it. And what's happening here is that those of us that are loyal to Carnival, we feel completely dismissed, completely disregarded, and to make matters worse, Carnival doesn't seem too worried about it. In fact, it seems like they're doubling down on this bad decision. Carnival Ambassador John Heald is really the one getting the fire for it. And also, folks, please don't go and harass this man. He just works for Carnival. He has a tough job and he can't change things. Now, according to John, he is reporting this very strong feedback to the beards, meaning the people in charge, namely Christine Duffy, who doesn't have a beard, but whatever. And hopefully they're going to change things. Carnival has kind of signaled that they might be willing to look at a modification, and let's just hope that is the case. Now, they're not worried from a financial standpoint when it comes to their stock performance, because they just posted a monster quarter, over $6 billion in revenue, and their stock jumped more than 10%. Now, analysts on Wall Street, they're shrugging off the backlash, but let me tell you, the money people on Wall Street, they don't understand cruise culture. They don't understand what a big deal this is. Now, in their words, analysts are poo-pooing it, saying, well, these types of program overhauls are industry standard. But I will tell you, as a cruise enthusiast and as a business professor, Carnival's gonna have to walk this back, or they are ultimately, in the more mid and long term, absolutely going to face some financial backlash. So for now, I think they're holding steady, if not on the increase, but this is going to have an impact. I know cruisers, I know cruise culture, I know myself, I know that I understand business decisions, and I tend to be level-headed about these things and understand hard business decisions that need to be made. But this, my friends, is a major misstep. Carnival has absolutely stepped in it, and I am confident, and you can come back months later after I post this video and tell me if I'm wrong, Carnival's gonna have to walk this back. For those of us who have felt that pride in being loyal and earning our perks, this hits different. This feels like a slap in the face. This feels like a cruise line that we've built, for right or wrong, an emotional affinity to, has absolutely stabbed us in the back. So I wanna know, those of you that are affected by this, and no, if you're not gold, platinum, or diamond, don't come in here with this whole bootlicking mentality, please, of, oh, well, da-da-da-da-da. No, you're not in this situation. I want to specifically know, those that have worked hard to earn status, how do you feel about this? And does this make you want to jump the Carnival ship? Now, if loyalty changes are frustrating, let's talk about the kind of fee that shows up after you've already booked your cruise. Mexico's new cruise passenger tax, yes, the one that's been controversial, it's been debated, delayed, and modified, well, it's now active. So if you're sailing to popular Mexican ports like Cozumel, Costa Maya, Progreso, you'll see an added charge per passenger per port. Now, the Mexican government says this is for the environmental impact and tourism infrastructure, but to many cruisers, it feels like yet another nickel and dime situation, another sneaky surcharge. And here's the kicker. While these new fees might look small on paper, and they are smaller than they were originally proposed, which was $40+, if you're cruising with a family or you're visiting multiple ports, like Western Caribbean itineraries will visit usually Cozumel and Costa Maya, you could find that these charges add up quickly. Now, CLIA, which is the Cruise Line Industry Association, they're already challenging the policy, arguing that it could influence ship deployments and pricing. And they're not wrong. Higher prices mean higher costs for cruise lines, which inevitably trickle down to, of course, us. So I want to know what you think. Is this new fee going to sway your decision when it comes to picking your itinerary? Are you going to avoid Mexican ports of call because of this? Because I will tell you, Cozumel is one of my personal favorites. Costa Maya, also a favorite. But if it's going to cost me several $100s when I'm cruising with my children, for example, I will just as happily go to the Bahamas or go somewhere else. But I want to know what you think. And speaking of budgeting, let's talk about how cruise lines are monetizing or nickel and diming their private islands. Carnival's new Celebration Key is coming in hot, and not in a good way. Now, I have this booked for a cruise at the end of July on Carnival Sunrise, which is actually formerly Carnival Triumph, yeah, the poop cruise. And I will give you my honest take on Celebration Key. But early details that are leaked, they're kind of creating us a little bit of a stir. One of the things that has created some online chatter is Carnival's, again, boneheaded move to charge a pool noodle rental. Yes, a pool noodle rental that you can go to Five Below or Dollar General and buy for literally $1. They plan to rent this for $20 a day. Yes, $20 a day. The internet lost its collective mind. Now, those of you corporate bootlickers that say, oh, cruisers only whine and complain, this is an exact scenario of why we sometimes whine and complain when cruise lines are on some BS. Because Carnival did listen to the outcry and they dropped the price. It's still $10, but let's be honest, that still feels a little ridiculous, but it's better than 20. Now, even more frustrating to Carnival cruisers, when it comes to Celebration Key, their Cheers drink package does not apply there. Now, this is nothing new. This is the same issue that Carnival cruisers face at other Carnival private destinations, including Princess Key and Half Moon Key, despite Carnival owning all three, their private islands or private destinations. And unlike most other cruise lines that include the drink package at their private island destinations, like Royal Caribbean, with Carnival, even though you're visiting their Carnival-owned private island, even if you have that Cheers drink package, you pay for your drinks out of pocket. But wait, it gets messier. There's growing speculation, and Carnival has yet to fully make a statement on this. They're basically saying, stay tuned, more details, more specifics are coming soon. But there is concern that Carnival is going to implement a policy that even though you're forced to pay for your drinks when visiting Celebration Key, even if you have the drink package, you're buying your drinks, they're still going to count toward your 15 drink per day limit. So if you are a drinker, you're a Cheers package consumer, make sure you make note of this, pay attention to what Carnival ultimately decides and announces, because not only are you losing the benefit, you're losing the value. So I really want to see what Carnival has to say about this. Cruisers are rightfully annoyed, and hopefully the outcry will cause a change, just like the stupid pool noodle pricing. But let me tell you, it's not just Carnival. There's other cruise lines that are on some BS. Royal Caribbean is under fire for pricing of its brand new Royal Beach Club on Paradise Island in Nassau. Now, I've seen prototypes of it. I've seen early first looks. It does look amazing. I do like Royal Caribbean, but I think the price is a little crazy. Now, this is not your typical included island stop. The Royal Beach Club, it's not a private island. It's not free for all cruisers visiting that itinerary to visit. It's not a free beach day. This is different. It's a beach club, and it's billed as exclusive, and with exclusivity comes expense. A basic day pass with unlimited food and open bar starts at $169.99 per adult. Yep, $170 per person. Now, if you're like me and you're not a drinker, I would have a hard time maximizing that value. If you're under 21, it's a little cheaper, but it's still $129.99 for non-alcoholic access. Kids aged 4 to 12, still pricey. That'll be $109. And yes, under threes do get in free, but still, if you're visiting with a family of 3, 4, 5 people, you're looking at several $100s for a beach day. Now, it does include some nice things like Wi-Fi, beach games, chairs, towels, lockers, water, shuttle transport, food, and again, potentially alcohol or non-alcoholic beverages. But at those prices, I personally couldn't justify that. I'm the kind of person, I do cruise a lot. I can only afford to do that because I ball on a budget. And when it comes to Nassau, I have 5 resorts off the top of my head that I would prefer to visit that are much more affordable. So I am sailing a Royal Caribbean itinerary that visits Nassau, but I'm gonna skip the day pass and put that money toward a private independent excursion or beach day resort pass instead. And if you're curious what my top picks are, I will drop those links down below. Now let's talk about a story that has grabbed everyone's attention this week and sparked plenty of debate and confusion. A 5-year-old girl fell overboard from Disney Dream as the ship was sailing between the Bahamas and Fort Lauderdale. Now, early social media reports, of course, as always, were fast and furious. A lot of folks accused the father of putting her on the rail for a photo. And there are even accounts of people on that ship that claim they saw him put his daughter on the rail, and there were accusations flying everywhere. But now, authorities say, not so fast. That's actually not what happened. According to the Broward Sheriff's Office, this little girl wasn't being held at all. She wasn't being held on the rail, but instead she climbed up while her parents were playing shuffleboard nearby. Now here's where it gets tricky, because anyone who's cruised knows it's not easy to just fall off a cruise ship. I hate when these stories happen because non-cruisers think, oh my God, cruising is scary. I'm just gonna plop right out into the ocean. It's very difficult to fall off a cruise ship. Railings are tall, a lot of decks, not this one, but they have solid glass barriers. So naturally people are asking, how the heck did this happen? If you did not hold her up on the rail, what's going on here? Now, that part is still under investigation. And you may be familiar with a similar story, a very sad, tragic one that didn't have a good ending like this, where a grandfather was holding his granddaughter up on a rail on a Royal Caribbean ship. She fell, she died, he actually had to face criminal charges. Very sad case all around. But what I do know in this case, while all the details are still a little unclear, is that Disney's crew was ready. A staff member saw the incident, their overboard detection system was triggered, the dad had jumped in after her, and they immediately deployed their rescue boat right away. The child and her father were safely then brought back on board. So this is a terrifying situation, but it's also a powerful reminder to, one, watch your kids. I hate to judge the dad because this is a traumatic thing, but people, watch your kids, especially on a cruise ship. But no matter how well designed a ship is, including Disney ships, which are literally designed and geared toward families, usually with young children, nothing can take the place of adult supervision. And in this case, credit goes where it's due, to the Disney crew for their rapid response and professionalism. And on the topic of cruise chaos, remember the infamous poop cruise? Well, a couple of weeks ago, Netflix dropped a documentary about the 2013 Carnival Triumph sailing, where a fire knocked out power and left more than 4,000 passengers stranded without working toilets. And yeah, it's as gross as it sounds. We're talking raw sewage flooding the cabins, people pooping in red bags. We're talking about people peeing in showers. People were sleeping on the deck, making camps in the sweltering heat. Now, Carnival did issue refunds back then, future cruise credits, and even $500 cash at the time. But this documentary is bringing it all back. And I kind of hate it because people who don't cruise see this and they think all of these negative stereotypes and misconceptions they have about cruising is just reinforced. Cruising is gross. Cruise people are gross. It's a floating petri dish. So I hate that part. But I do like cruise lines being held accountable when they're on some BS. And yes, that includes Carnival, which, believe it or not, is still my favorite cruise line, but they're pushing me. Now, Carnival is still dealing with this outrage over their VIFP changes and celebration key pricing decisions. So it's pretty bad timing for them because this poop-stained blast from the past is putting them back in the headlines in a lot of not so good ways. Now, even with crisis response, sometimes reputational scars, they take a while to fade. And meanwhile, Carnival's dealing with another hiccup. Carnival, you're having a bad summer. Their July 6 Carnival Liberty sailing out of New Orleans was canceled after dry dock delays in Europe, reportedly tied to a labor strike. Now, guests were notified just days before departure, which just really sucks. Now, to their credit, Carnival did respond swiftly. Full refunds, 100% FCC or future cruise credit, and reimbursement of up to $200 per person for independent travel expenses. But that's not a lot. But these kind of cancellations, they're rare. They're not always the cruise line's fault like this. And when they happen though, they sting. And that's why it's always important to carry travel insurance. Personally, I have an annual travel plan. It covers me and my family, my 2 girls, for all of our trips, cruise, land, even road trips, all year long. And I pay less than $500 for it. So this is your friendly reminder, get your travel insurance. I have a complete guide to travel insurance for cruisers. I'll drop the link in the comments. Now let's end on a little bit of a brighter note. Galveston, you got it going on. Galveston's port expansion includes a brand new terminal at Pier 16 and it's turning heads. MSC Cruises will debut the Seascape there in 2025. I've sailed it. It's a gorgeous ship, and it's going to offer year-round sailings to the Western Caribbean. Norwegian will also begin home porting with Norwegian Prima. Royal Caribbean, they're also in the game with Allure of the Seas, which is still going strong. And of course, Carnival Jubilee, which I just sailed in April, is sailing full steam. Now, the only bummer when it comes to Galveston, Princess Cruises does plan to end their Galveston operations after winter 25-26 season, but with so many options, Galveston is quickly becoming a big player in the cruise port game.